Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to the biggest stars and the best looking stars and the most talented, multi-talented stars. Denise Van Outen, how are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you.
You're a lady who knows what you want and how to get it, and you speak your mind. I think for some people, when you first came out and hit the big time, that was shocking, that a woman could actually have a mind of her own.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny, actually, because I was discussing this with friends the other day, and we were talking about the whole ladette era. And I went through probably about a good 5 years of battling that title and going, I was never a ladette. Actually, now I'm quite proud of it because I'm a bit older and I'm a mum and I'm married and I've settled down. I think, do you know what? We actually, myself, Zoe Ball, Sarah Cox, Gail Porter, we were all very outspoken, opinionated women. And at that time, I think we have a lot to be proud of, because we fought for our place and we had our own TV shows and, we were able to establish ourselves in our chosen careers and, have good careers. So, yeah, I'm actually proud now.
I think from a guy's point of view, watching you was always fun. But from a media perception point of view, I never thought that you were the woman who could stand on stage and blow us away with a big belter or act or sing or do anything else, because it was all about the gobbiness and being funny. Do you think that kind of set you back in a way?
I do think, yeah, it did in the early days. And actually, it still does haunt me sometimes. There were some antics of mine that meant that I wasn't bankable for sort of the primetime shows. For instance, pinching an ashtray from Buckingham Palace probably wasn't the wisest move in my career. Or flashing Prince Charles in a flesh-coloured bra. But these are just things that when I'm a bit of a daredevil and people would dare me to do something and I just go ahead and do it and not think about the consequences. But it means I've had to kind of try and prove myself a little bit more. I've had training since I was a kid.
And of course, it wasn't just the West End with Chicago. You went over to Broadway to do it and you knocked them dead there. I think that was the moment when people took you seriously, because if you can make it over there, you can literally make it anywhere.
Yeah, and I think, it changed people's perception of me. And I think then coming back, I worked with Andrew Lloyd Webber on Tell Me on a Sunday. And especially in this country, that was the real turning point. To do a one-woman show in the West End, because it's not easy to do. And I think also, I don't even really think I always give myself enough credit for how brave it was to do that, because it is really scary. To hold a show on your own is probably the hardest thing you can ever do. And actually, I don't know if I'd be quite so brave now. So it's funny how you change as you get older.
It was an amazing show, that. And what was bigger than just you standing on stage by yourself, which in itself is freaky, the fact that you had to sing all the way through. What kind of pressure goes through your head before you go on, that you've got to be there, you've got to perform, your name's on the front of the theatre, and if you're not there, there isn't a show?
Well, that's it. That's the pressure. And you do think, if I'm not there, there isn't a show, and you just have to get on with it. And it was almost, again, I felt like I had a point to prove. I just always feel like I've got to prove something, which I think most people in this business feel like that. If it's not on a personal level, then there's something like, even coming into this show, I came in as a takeover and the cast are already established and you have a point to prove there, because you want to go, look, I can do it just as well. And so, yeah, I think that's probably what drives me.
You've been there a million times when they pick up on something you've said and make something out of it. Does that feeling ever leave you the older you get or the more experienced you are, that, oh, God, it's coming, and I know they're going to get me?
No, it never leaves you. If you're anything like me, I feel genuinely very comfortable on camera or doing chats like this. I'm not thinking that it's going out to millions of people. And sometimes most of the time I chat to people as though I would talk to my friends and say the things that I would say in the privacy of my own home, and it's not always wise.
So we've covered theatre. Of course, radio's been a big part of your life. You left one building.
It wasn't that big. It was 6 months big.
No, but in breakfast, that's a lifetime. And also getting up. I want to talk to you about that feeling when the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. in the morning. That's annoying, isn't it?
Hell, it's the worst feeling in the world, I've got to be honest. And the thing is, I kind of underestimated how awful you feel for the rest of the day. Some people can work those hours and work like Johnny, he was my co-host, and do it for years and enjoy it, and it kind of works with their lifestyle. But it really wasn't working for me, because I had to get up so early at 4 o'clock, plus I was doing television shows during the day. I was getting to bed about 10 o'clock at night, and then not forgetting, I just started dating Lee, who was in a West End show. He was coming home at 11 o'clock at night. It's so hard to switch off after doing a show, a theatre show, that I was probably averaging about 3 hours sleep a night, and after 6 months of doing that every day, I was just exhausted. I felt there wasn't a place for me in that show as well, so that was another reason.
And in terms of your relationship that you just mentioned, everybody was so happy for you. You'd made a big thing about the fact that you couldn't find the right guy. And that was clever as well because the media bought into it. And then you did. And we're all happy with this fairy tale life that you've got. Who's looking after the baby now, though? Because if you're here and he's on stage at Wicked...
Oh, he's not. He's off this week.
All right.
He's on
What about
holiday.
next week when he's back?
We have... My mum does half the week and we have a nanny who does half the week. So, and I don't do the Thursday matinee on this show. So I'm home all day. Monday to Friday, I'm home all day till 5:30.